welcome to another edition of the Ranger Rush. Here at the end of September, checking in on the New York Rangers, how preseason and camp have been going. Tonight, they just came off a 3-1 loss to the New Jersey Devils at Prudential Center in Newark. Not much to be gleaned from the game. It was really a battle of AHL teams, as the Devils' main squad is in Prague, actually, because they start the season early with a regular season series against the Buffalo Sabres on October 4th and 5th. They are already there. And the Rangers, they actually play the Devils again tomorrow night at Madison Square Garden. And tonight went with a roster of pretty much all minor leaguers for the most part. One notable exception was Jonathan Quick did play in goal. He actually played pretty well despite giving up 3 goals, 2 of which were on breakaways. But like I said, not much to be gleaned from the game. Thankfully, the Rangers avoided a shutout at the hands of a guy named Brodeur, so that would have been hard to swallow even in preseason. A little PTSD going on there, but thankfully, with under 2 minutes to go, they at least were able to get on the board. If anything from this game, I was looking for some of the bubble roster guys, looking to see them have a good impact, particularly Brennan Othman, who in my last video I talked about how I don't think he's quite ready to make the jump to the NHL this season as a regular. And again, he didn't have a great game here. I know he had a good one the other night last week, but this game against the Devils didn't do much for, didn't do anything offensively, but then really had a couple of glaring neutral zone turnovers that I noticed in the second period especially. Didn't see great things out of him. On that front, I do think Adam Edstrom probably has an inside track to make the roster, but the real main reason for that is that Jimmy Vesey is out at least a few weeks after suffering an injury in practice. So they need probably someone to fill in, even if he's not going to play every night. I imagine, based on his camp so far, that Edstrom's going to be that guy. He also looked pretty good in a brief stint with the Rangers last season. So I see him playing, or at least making the roster, I should say. I imagine that head coach Peter Laviolette will probably have some kind of rotation with that last forward spot on the fourth line between Edstrom, Johnny Brodzinski, and Matt Rempe, at least to start the season until VC comes back, at which point I imagine Edstrom would probably be the guy to be sent down. Another injury, though, that the Rangers have is Ryan Lindgren. Last week in the game against the Islanders, which, as a quick side note, was really a pretty remarkable game, with the Rangers having a massive third period comeback en route to a 6-4 victory. But that was a game actually where Artemi Panarin had an injury scare, but he seems to be fine. But Lindgren had got hurt in a fight with the Islanders' Scott Mayfield, and it turns out that he's going to be out at least a few weeks as well, like VC. Lindgren upper body, VC lower body. So this kind of, as far as Lindgren goes, I know it was in a fight, but I know he's super tough and a warrior, and he has a reputation for playing through injury, playing through pain, but he's been sustaining injuries and missing time. I feel like even more and more in the past few seasons. He's still pretty young, but he's got a lot of mileage on him. And last season, after he had been up to that point really a stalwart for the Rangers and kind of an unsung hero and a really very important player for them on the back end, really took a dip last season. Took a step back, wasn't nearly as reliable defensively, had a pretty rough season. So coming off of that and the wear and tear on his body and just the way he plays, I was not keen on the Rangers giving him a big extension when he hit restricted free agency status. And they ended up giving him only a 1-year deal, which honestly I'm okay with. I'd rather they not commit long-term dollars to a player who, while still only in his late 20s at this point, is kind of on decline already, and figures to be continually banged up. And this is another example of it. So that all being said, it's still a loss for this current roster without question. It's still significant. So imagine that Chad Ruhwedel will draw into the lineup until Lindgren is back, and it'll be interesting to see what Pierre Laviolette does with the defense pairs. He's mentioned mixing them up in the remaining practices and preseason games before the regular season opener on October 9th. One of the pairs we were seeing recently was Keandre Miller with Adam Fox, which is a pairing that I and Ranger fans have some Ranger fans, probably a loud, vocal subsection of Rangers fans, have been clamoring for some time. So that could be intriguing to see, and if that works out, maybe when Lindgren comes back, they reconsider where he goes, right? Because you could have Miller and Fox. For now, maybe Zach Jones with Jacob Trouba, and then a bottom pairing of Braden Schneider and Chad Ruhwedel, two righties. They can make that work. Sometimes I think the handedness thing's a bit overrated, so we'll see how that goes. But if they stick with Miller Fox, that would certainly be something kind of fun and exciting to watch, and hopefully it works well, and we can get away from the Lindgren Fox Miller Trouba pairings we've had, even though there was the idea that Trouba could be playing with Zach Jones, but we'll see on that one. Otherwise, the Rangers, they have 2 preseason games left. Tuesday night, back-to-back against the Devils at the Garden, so they figured to have most of their regulars in the lineup for that game against, again, another has to be AHL type roster for the Devils with their main team over in Prague. So that should be a pretty lopsided matchup against preseason, so don't take much stock in the result there. And then one more game, end of the week against the Islanders, and then getting ready for the opener in Pittsburgh on October 9th. So we'll see how the defense pairs shake out. I'm pretty curious about what they're going to do, especially with Lindgren out right now. And if things go well with the pairings in his absence, it'll be interesting to see where they slot him back. So we'll see what happens there. But we'll check in probably one more time before the season for more of a preview. But until then, go Rangers.